There was trouble on the Youghiogheny River, too.
We're telling the residents of Connellsville to stay off the streets unless there's an extreme emergency. We're going to have the police out patrolling. We're going to use National Guard.
It actually looked like a tide coming in but not receding, as a tide would do. It just kept rolling in, like bubbling towards the residents.
And as if the flooding wasn't enough, Mother Nature played another cruel trick that evening.
Well, it's supposed to go down to about 5 degrees tonight.
People forced from their homes needed a warm place to go, so emergency shelters everywhere opened their doors.
Didn't bring nothing out because they come knocking on the door and telling us to leave right away because the water was rising so fast.
Okay, Bill, I take it you were talking to someone there, showing him how the net works and how we handle emergencies here in the Connellsville area. This is W3SKM net control.
Okay, I'm talking here to the kdka Channel 2 photographer. They're going to stay here at the center until 10 o'clock tonight, and we're going to leave and be back tomorrow if they need us.
It would be a long night, and for many people, things would only look worse in the morning. Saturday morning, January 20th, the water came up quickly overnight. This video, taken from a helicopter, shows the Golden Triangle, or what was left of it. In case you don't know, that's the Monongahela River over on the right, and the ice-choked Allegheny River on the left. The fountain at the very point of the triangle, completely underwater. The Point Park stage over on the left, flooded. So is the Fort Pitt Museum on the right. And the water's backed up all the way through Point State Park to Commonwealth Place, the road running directly in front of the Hilton Hotel at the rear center of your screen.
This is a special report, live from Eyewitness News.
And we bid you a good morning from the Eyewitness Newsroom at 5 minutes before 8 o'clock. And except for those directly affected, most people didn't know how bad things were until they turned on the news Saturday morning. And as the waters rose, just about everyone on the Eyewitness News team was called in to help cover the disaster.
We'll just run you through it, starting with the north side.
Well, everyone, we understand, has been evacuated at this point. There were about 100 people.
Our KDK TV reporters, photographers, and technicians traveled throughout western Pennsylvania and to parts of West Virginia, keeping an eye on the rising waters.
Below this ramp is Glenville Borough, and from where I'm standing, you can't tell where these backyards end and the Ohio River begins.
Feeding back information.
The declaration of a disaster is paramount to getting these bills paid here, and it sounds pretty optimistic. The question is, will they declare the whole state a disaster area?
Some of the most memorable scenes out of western Pennsylvania came from along the shoreline of the Allegheny River near downtown Pittsburgh. The cars that were abandoned the day before on the Allegheny Wharf were now long gone or barely visible. Underwater or under huge chunks of ice. Pleasure boats, once docked upstream on the Allegheny, now crammed under bridges in the Golden Triangle.
This boat happens to be a special one.
And if there was a tourist attraction during the flood of '96, well, this was it. The Wind Symphony Barge that normally cruises the world, Pittsburgh's musical ambassador.
It's the only one of its kind in the world.
But the flood of '96 threatened to end that claim to fame by beaching the Point Counterpoint at her dockside. She had been lifted up by the water, moved over, and set down on the concrete wharf, smashing anything that got in the way. But that's not all. She was perched precariously at the wharf's edge.
Probably worth a couple $1 million. And it's important to the city and its heritage, and we're trying to save it here.
The big concern, efforts to refloat the barge could have her slide into the river and sink.
It's gonna fall!
But the dangerous state of the Wind Symphony barge didn't stop this man. A spectator caught his act on home video. The daredevil, a relative of the Symphony's founder, and he's trying to shimmy across a tow line above the fast-moving Allegheny River. The mission, to get on board, which he did, and to steer the barge off of its icy perch, which he didn't. That would take days, and another tactic, one that you'll see a bit later.
Why would you do that?
A few blocks away, the 7th Street Bridge. This pleasure boat had broken loose upstream. The owner tracked it down after seeing his boat on the morning news. He showed up to salvage what he could.
Your boat, obviously.
Huh?
What, tell me what we're looking at here.
You're looking at about $100,000 down the drain. Yeah, about a happy day.
Across the river, others were on a mission too, as water crept into Three Rivers Stadium. Workers had to keep the team's uniforms and equipment dry, and that meant getting it out. After all, the Steelers were just days away from a date with Dallas at Super Bowl 30 in Tempe, Arizona.
Convert all this water back into the real.
We're in the Benedum right now, and we have water in our basement at the Benedum. We have it under the stage, in the backstage areas, in some of our work areas.
You didn't have to be on the shoreline to take on water. Basements filled up fast in downtown businesses, some even a few blocks away from the river, like the Benedum Center.
We have a fabulous crew that's been at work since the middle of the night. They're still at work. They're doing a great job, and we expect to be able to go on with the show this evening.
Do you have laying water now?
911 Emergency Headquarters in Pittsburgh. As Saturday wore on, dispatchers did their best to handle hundreds of calls.
Well, I'm sure if they can't go across one bridge, they would just detour and take another one.
Meantime, Mayor Tom Murphy used the 911 center to give status reports on conditions in Pittsburgh, while people at home and work watched for any updates on television.
Hines Hall are flooded. Many buildings downtown, their basements are flooded now. The steam system downtown was partially flooded. We had to pump frantically to keep it from completely shutting down.
Even news people had to keep pace with the fast rising water. KDK's basement sprung a few leaks too. So did our underground garage. And those of us who weren't bringing you news about the flood were cleaning up because of it. KDKA was among the many downtown companies affected, all right along Fort Duquesne Boulevard next to the Allegheny. Sandbags helped. So did the fact that we sit up high on the riverbank, unlike the other side of the Allegheny. For some people on the north side, it was a different story.
Well, I watched it all night coming up, you know, but I didn't think we would have to leave, you know.
But they did. A senior citizen apartment building evacuated after it started filling with water. And by mid-morning on Saturday, the damage on the North Shore and up the lower Allegheny River near Pittsburgh was all too evident. Further up the Allegheny, just above Oakmont, a group of barges broke loose and rolled over a dam. 7 of them missed hitting a marina in Oakmont, and then
the 8th one took us out, hit it broadside and just wiped it out. There are 4 of us that live, 5 of us live year-round. That's a home, but it's gone.
For those who rushed to the marina, the first task at hand was consoling family and friends. And then the long, hard job of starting over.
Just go through back out of here and just get this loose so we can loosen it when the water goes down. Yeah.